Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are going to be continuing our big round preview. So in today's video, we are going to be previewing round 7 of the 2022 AFL season. This is a big round of footy coming up, especially because if some teams go 1 and 6, we can really start seeing how much of an advantage other teams can get over others. Of course, you see teams that 1 and 5 and Melbourne are 6 and 0. You can already see the advantage that lays already. The ladder's looking really interesting, and it's a big round, massive round of footy coming up. And this round is really important. Of course, just like every round, really. Every round has that real sense. The earlier rounds, of course, do have a big role to play as well. Percentage as well matters in these first 7 or so rounds. Anyway, here we go. Round 7 preview. Let's get right into things. So the first game is West Coast versus Richmond at Optus Stadium on the Friday night. It's a bit of a late start, but you want to get this game prime time, like prime time as can be, without starting it too late. Because if you were to start at 7:20 West time, you'd get it a little bit late. Everywhere else, you'd get 8:50 and 9:20. It's a bit late, but yeah, they've done it for 6:10, which is probably not a bad time. It is under lights for the whole game anyway, so that is going to be good. But let's talk game. Let's talk the game. West Coast haven't been in great form. We can safely say that, and the Tigers, them too as well. They've had a couple of decent wins, a couple of hard losses though. They did beat the Dogs at the MCG. That's definitely win of the year so far for them. And West Coast's only win was coming up against the Pies, which again was very impressive. So these two teams have had at least one impressive win. The Tigers will win this game. I'm pretty confident on that. Got a great team. So I feel they just fell short of Melbourne as well, so they should be able to take down the Eagles, and I've tipped them by a 28-point margin as well. Pretty convincing. Now on the Saturday, big game here, Geelong versus Fremantle. Now, I'm not sure if you saw my tipping, but if you haven't, go ahead and watch that now. But I was just like, I can't get a margin for this game. I can tip, but I just can't find a margin. I was not sure on a margin, so I ended up saying the Cats by 23. Now, I'm not sure if I'm happy with the margin at the moment. I'm going to keep it as it is, of course. I said 82 to 59. I'm not sure about that. I feel like it's going to be way more high scoring than that. But again, we'll have to wait and see. The Dockers, they've been in great form, but it's just a GMHBA. They don't go down too well down there. And the Cats, this is their dream being back down there. They love it. So it'll be pretty decent win to the Cats. At least I've felt. The Dockers, they could really come out and make a game of this one as well, though. Would not be surprised if it was to happen. But the Cats, they are just quite a strong unit down there. But this will really show where the Dockers are at in terms of least playing away from home and playing against a hard opponent away from home, as the later end of the year will see this happen. And they'll have to make sure they're getting their wins on the road as well. So this one, again, if the Dockers win a massive upset down at Geelong, but I just feel like the Cats too strong. So now on to the second Saturday game. The Crows and the Giants at the Adelaide Oval, 1:40 local time. Now the Crows, they've been alright this year, 3-3. They've made a great start to their year. They're in a great place with wins against the Tigers, the Bulldogs, and the Power. They've been fantastic, and then close losses to the Dockers and the Bombers, with the only big win conceded against the Pies. They've been good. They've been a good team. They looked really good last week against the Dogs as well, intercept marking wise, fantastic. The Giants, their last scores, I've always touched on this, they've just been like 54 against the Dockers, 53 against the Demons, and then they produced 60 against the Saints. They're not in a great spot. Now, this is definitely a game where they could bounce back, pull off the upset, beat the Crows at home. They could definitely do this. This is a win that they could do. Now, the Crows are the favourites. I have said the Crows as well. I'm going to back them in this time. Feel like they will just be too strong at home. But the Giants, they need to win this game vitally to save their season. Otherwise, from here, it does get quite tough going to 1 and 6 on the season. They could pull off the win. I just feel like it's unlikely with the way they've gone so far. They just haven't been a great unit, and I just don't think they'll win. It's away from home, makes it even harder. The Crows at home, they've been pretty decent this year. And yeah, most of their wins have come from that avenue because they've been well. They lost the Dockers at home, they beat the Power at home, they beat the Tigers at home. So yeah, they've been pretty good at home this year. But they've just been pretty good as well. So I just feel like the Crows on that one by a pretty decent margin as well. Now I move on to Melbourne versus Hawthorn at the MCG. Now Hawthorn, they've been a bit up this year. You don't really know when they're going to come out and bring their A game. Last week against the Swans was disastrous. Had a 5-goal lead, and then to lose by 41 in a 56-point turnaround. The Swans get 56 in the last quarter. They kicked 9 last quarter goals, 8 in a row. The Hawks will not be happy with that, so they've got to fix it up if there are any chance of beating the Demons. The Demons, they just do it week in, week out. They get away from teams. They weren't consistent against the Tigers, but they are still looking good. 22 behinds is not great, but again, fix up that accuracy, and they'll be on their way to glory. But yeah, they've done it in the past where they just have a quarter of footy that you just can't stop them, and that is when they're so damaging, and that is when they'll get a lead on the Hawks. I reckon they'll just have one great quarter of footy, and I just feel like they'll take it out by. I know this may be surprising, but I'm only saying 29 points. Could be more, could be less. Yeah, you never know. Depends how the Hawks come out and play this game, but yeah, I feel like Melbourne pretty comfortably. St Kilda versus Port Adelaide is the first Saturday night prime timer, followed by Carlton versus North Melbourne. St Kilda versus Port Adelaide, let's do this one first. Massive game for both these two teams. The Saints, they've been looking strong to start off the year. The Power, they're only just started. They looked great against the Eagles last week. We'll start with the Power. They looked great against the Eagles last week. They were fantastic. They scored high. They didn't just A win. They B smashed them as well, which was fantastic. And the Saints, they've been doing it all year. They've been a powerhouse ever since their win against Fremantle on the road in Perth. Wow, they've been a different team. They have been powerful. They've been hard to beat. That win against the Hawks really showcased it all for me as well, and ever since then, they've just been brilliant. The win against the Dockers was fantastic. The win against the Tigers was amazing. The smashing against the Hawks was fantastic. Their win against the Suns was alright. Their win against the Giants was great. And I feel like they'll do it against the Power. They've got a firing team. They should be able to do it as well. Haven't tipped them by a massive margin. I've tipped them by 14 points. I still feel like it's going to be a really tough, low-scoring, scrappy battle. But I just feel like the Saints will get over the top of the Power. But the Power, there's definitely some improvement going on there. Carlton versus North Melbourne, the second Saturday night game. This game is vital for Carlton. As I've said, this game means the world to them. Now, I have tipped them to win this one by 41 points with scores of 95 to 54. The Roos, they're not in a great place right now. They have been hammered in pretty much most of their occasions this year. And they got hammered again by the Cats. They're just not playing well right now. They're just finding their way. They are a rebuilding team, and they're not going great. The Blues, this is the team to talk about. They've had a great start to the year, but ever since they lost to Gold Coast, they just haven't been the same team. 3-point win against the Power, they only played 2 quarters of footy. Same thing against the Dockers, they just played 2 quarters of footy basically, or 3. They just didn't manufacture a good enough score. Let the Dockers get away, and there's game over. So the Blues, this week, they just cannot let the game get away from them. North Melbourne will put up a fight. I just have that feeling they'll put up a fight in the first few quarters. Carlton, they've just got to be up to the challenge. If they play 2 quarters of footy, North could pull off the upset. And that will probably be embarrassing for the Blues if they were to lose to North Melbourne. So again, for the Blues, I just feel like they need to have their turn this week of just having a quarter of dominance. Doesn't matter if it's just 1 quarter. Play the first 2 quarters, have a third quarter of dominance, and then kick a few in the last, and that can definitely get you a score of a decent score, enough to win. So I feel like the Blues will have this one quite convincingly, but they're a big team heading into this round, and they need to bounce back badly after what we've seen in the past few weeks. I've got the Blues by 41, which is quite a big margin, but yeah, they'll be interesting to see how they go. Collingwood versus Gold Coast, MCG, Sunday afternoon footy. It is going to be an interesting contest, although I still feel like the Pies will have this one down pat pretty comfortably. The Pies this year, they've also been a little bit, sometimes you don't know what you may get from them. Again, one week they almost beat the Cats, the next they lose to West Coast. So they can be a little bit inconsistent. It is back on their favourite deck, the MCG, up against Gold Coast, who have had an up and down season themselves. They came close to Melbourne, and then they just went nowhere against the Giants. So, yeah, it's just been an interesting year for some teams, and I just feel like the Pies will take it out convincingly. Home ground advantage, they've been looking good this year, the Pies. Jack Ginnivan kicked 5 against the Bombers. Nick Dacos is looking great touch. Josh Dacos as well. And then plenty more players as well for the Pies in good touch. So I just feel like they'll get the job done against the Gold Coast team that's going okay at the moment. But yeah, I just feel like the Pies just a little bit too strong. And they've actually been looking good this year, the Pies. They've been really good so far this year. Again, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, but on most occasions, they've been pretty good, and they've put up fights with most teams. Bulldogs versus Essendon now at Marvel Stadium. Big game for both these two teams, both coming off very disappointing, very winnable games as well. The Bombers, they had a winnable game against Pies, and the Dogs, they had a very winnable game against the Crows, and yeah, they both didn't get the wins. Now, Stringer and Merritt, of course, we're back for the Bombers. So this one could be a lot closer than what we think. I've still said the Dogs. I've set them by, again, not a great margin. I've set them by, I think it's 18 points. Yeah, I just don't think the Dogs will win this game massively. I feel like the Bombers will put up a fight, but the Dogs will just be too strong and going to win. Of course, like the list they have, you've got Bontempelli, Hunter, McRae. Even though Hunter's out for personal reasons, but like still the names Smith, Norton, Duray, Cordy, Dale, brilliant names all across the ground. So I just feel like they'll get the job done. And the Bombers, they've still got some great names. They could still match the Dogs, but yeah, I just feel like the Dogs, they're going to have to bounce back after their bad loss, disappointing loss. Now the final game of the round is the Swans and the Lions at the SCG. Now this game could definitely go either way. Sydney's first 3 quarters at UTAS were pretty poor, and their last quarter was magnificent. So again, for the Swans, just make sure they can really get a 4-quarter game going. It's back at their home deck, the SCG. They know and love this ground fantastically, so I feel like they'll be able to get the win over the Lions. The Lions, fantastic group. Their brilliant win over the Suns at MetCon. They've got a brilliant group. They are really up there. This is the tight tussle battle, and this is the battle. I reckon this is going to be a preliminary final. Not a preliminary, sorry, a qualifying final perhaps. This is kind of how the matchup's going to feel. It's going to be a really exciting contest between these two teams. I have Sydney just edging it, but wow, what a round of footy. So let's go back over. I've said Richmond, I have said Geelong, I've said the Crows and the Demons and the Saints and the Blues. I've said the Pies, the Bulldogs and the Swans. So if you have a look at that, I've tipped every home team this round except for the Tigers. And if it was at the MCG on the Friday night, wow, it'd be every home team. That's interesting. That is interesting. Wow, what a round we have in store. Round 6, of course, brought us this. You can just have a quick look for the scores. You know what, I'll tell you. Saints defeated the Giants. The Crows got over the Bulldogs. The Power defeated the Eagles. And the Dockers got over the Blues. The Cats took care of the Roos. The Lions got over the Suns. The Demons took care of the Tigers. The Swans smashed the Hawks. Took care of the Hawks. And the Pies defeated the Bombers. Round 7, big round, as I said. And you know what, we may as well, even though this is a preview, we'll still go into the future and have a look at what round 8 has. Again, another big round of footy in store. Again, not going to go through the matchups, this is a preview, but wow, big round 7 in store for us. And yeah, it's going to be such an exciting round. We're going to learn a lot more about teams, just like we do every round. I'm going to go and have a look at the ladder, because why not? Demons 6-0, fantastic. But we have got some really good battles in round number 7. Some really exciting, interesting battles to look out for. And wow. And there is the ladder, of course. Every team is off and away this year, so that is fantastic. But round 7, big round of footy coming up. Can't wait. So you guys can let me know who you think will win in round number 7. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys will never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.